Hey there, high tide traders and investors. It's Rod with Power Group. Welcome back on the Pursuit of Wealth, your home for MJ Stocks, crypto assets, and interviews. Today is Wednesday, November 16th. Happy hump day. And in this video, going to be discussing the stock High Tide, ticker symbol HITI on the NASDAQ. We're going to be doing some technical analysis. I'll go over my thoughts and opinions on the stock in the weeks and months ahead, but essentially going to go over whether or not we reached a bottom. The monthly bounce is underway. What does that mean in terms of resistance to be watching? Also, we had about 35% of gains off of the lows in the past week or so. So congrats to the bulls, but this is a name I'm extremely bullish on for the long term that I've been accumulating. Full disclosure, I am a shareholder and I've been accumulating this over the last several months. I did a couple of videos in the past with a target of about $1, but it's hard to say if we're going to get there. I'll give my thoughts and opinions on the chart here in just a moment. Before we get to it though, make sure to smash the like, help support me in the channel. It doesn't cost you anything. If you're new, you can subscribe and tick the bell to be notified on any future videos or when I go live. And getting right into it, just as a quick reminder, today is the day that MJ BizCon started today. So it actually, the pre-registration was yesterday, but today it kicked off, and that'll be going on for the next 2 days. But essentially, MJ Biz CEO says that MJ banking reform, we should expect it, and market consolidation in 2023. That's something that I've been saying for a while now. And if you recall my interview with Morgan Fox, the political director at Normal, which is a company, a nonprofit that lobbies the U.S. government in favor of U.S. legalization of MJ, we discussed that, and I do think there's about an 80 to 90% chance that we get some kind of banking reform leading into the end of the year. As we know, the Wall Street banks, they're going to want to get positioned before the rest of retail, before the rest of the world, right? So more than likely going to see safe banking and then uplisting to the NYSE and the NASDAQ, in my opinion. Then we'll probably get descheduling or rescheduling, at least rescheduling, maybe descheduling, and then full-blown legalization, right? But I think that the first step is going to be safe banking and getting the U.S. names uplisted to the NYSE and the NASDAQ, because that's going to allow the Wall Street banks like the JP Morgans, the Morgan Stanleys, the Goldman Sachs to get involved. And as we know, we can't have an unmanipulated market, right? So it just makes sense, right? We need to expect the big boys and big gals to get involved and positioned before they open the floodgates to the retail investors. And right now, if you're in the US, a lot of those OTC names, you just can't buy them with a lot of different brokers, restricting trade and access to that. So I do expect safe banking to be the first piece of legalization and reform to happen, and then uplisting after the fact. But moving on, taking a look at the high tide chart. So we had about 35% off last week's low to the high here, about 35%. So congrats to the bulls. I did a video not too long ago targeting $1 here in terms of the NASDAQ chart. So we're talking USD. And we had a weekly bear flag that we had the high, the low, lower high, and lower low. We actually confirmed the bear flag, but we didn't hit the target. The target was targeting $1, and the low that we got here was 130. So, I mean, we came pretty close to that bear flag target, about 22% away. Still not ruling out the fact that we could still see that here in the short term, especially if the broader market is still showing signs of weakness. Right now, the S&P 500 is doing well. It's in a daily and weekly uptrend, while a lot of the crypto space is very weak at the moment. Could see another leg down, and we just don't know. We're starting to see escalations as well with regards to geopolitical tensions around the world. So there's still a lot of issues at play that could provide headwinds and send us to one more lower low. But personally, I think accumulating anywhere around these levels, if you look at how sideways we were going on high tide for the last couple of months, it was as good a time as any to start accumulating. And like I said, I am a shareholder in high tide. I've been accumulating this over the last several months. And like I said, because of this bear flag target of $1, I've been holding off and just slowly accumulating it and adding on each new low. But we do have the monthly bounce underway, like I mentioned. So we had we kept breaking to a monthly lower low, but not really seeing much follow through. And then this month we had a monthly inside bar with support at 130. We hit 131, so essentially a double bottom, and we had resistance at 155. So once we broke 155, we started the monthly bounce, and we have no monthly resistance until the EMAs there at EMA 12 at 272. Then nothing until EMA 26 at 357. In terms of the price action, we have no monthly resistance all the way up to 589. So this thing could absolutely fly, in my opinion. We got the monthly bear cross out of the way as well, with the 12 period coming down through the 26 period. When the shorter term is above and comes down through the longer term, that's called a bear cross. And from there, once that bear cross happened, the price was sitting at around $3 to $4. And if you just exited on that signal alone, that would have saved you about 55% of downside. So again, technical analysis can be your friend, and the trend is your friend until the end, as we say. And just taking a look at the chart at the moment, monthly bounce is underway. We're starting to see some signs of life, but we still got a lot of work to do. Anything under 589 on the monthly time frame is just a monthly lower high. So at the moment, I did a video on CGC yesterday as well, saying that it confirmed a monthly uptrend. So that is great to see, but we need the whole sector to do so, right? So if we just take a quick peek at CGC, you can see we have the low, high, higher low, and higher high. We are in a monthly uptrend for the first time in 2 years. And the last time we confirmed a monthly uptrend, we went about 500% worth of gain, so 5x on CGC. But we need the whole sector to do so. And CGC doing it as a leader in the space is great to see, but now we need the rest of the space to follow suit, which I think there's a very good chance of that happening, especially if we see banking reform, uplisting, and rescheduling into the end of the year. But first and foremost, I think safe banking, that's going to allow traditional lending and borrowing in the space. You'll be able to purchase MJ with a credit card in the US. Right now, it's just an all-cash business. So if you're buying, you're paying with cash, or you're using your debit card and they're treating it as an ATM transaction, charging you a fee, and then your bank charges you a fee. Whereas pretty soon, if we get safe banking, we'll have lending, borrowing from traditional funding methods, and then we'll also have credit cards and things of that nature that'll be able to be used for the purchasing aspect. But right now, with high tide, the monthly bounce is underway. We have barely any resistance until EMA 12, and even from current levels, you're looking at about a move from current levels. You're looking at a move just to EMA 12. You're looking at about another 60% worth, 50 to 60% worth of gains. So at the moment, we can't say that the bottom is in my opinion. It's getting close. The monthly bounce is underway. The first time really since we started the bounce here in February of 2022. It's coming on a long time, right? So the fact that we're starting the monthly bounce is great, but we need to top out on this monthly bounce, come down just like CGC did, form a higher low and then a higher high. And the more names that confirm monthly uptrends, the better that is, and the more confident we are in the bear market being over, the bear market bottom being set, and we're entering a new bull market and potentially new all-time highs in price discovery. And on the weekly time frame, weekly bounce underway as well, and we have nothing nearby until EMA 26, which is sitting there at $1.94, and we could see an EMA 12 and 26 bull cross here on the weekly time frame, insinuating more upside from here, but we have no weekly resistance until 242 on the price action. So it's looking like this thing could see a bit more upside, but if we take a look at the daily, and a lot's really going to depend on the broader market, but if we take a look at the daily, I wouldn't be surprised if we started to pull back soon, because we had a pretty big range today. And since November 10th, off the lows, like I said, we've got about 35% worth of gains with no daily higher lower support established. We also hit daily overbought today on the RSI, so indicating that we could start to see things cool down a little bit. But based on the size of this range and this candle today, I wouldn't be surprised if it was a daily inside bar leading into tomorrow. But key resistance is going to be 176 and key support at 155. If we lose support at 155, we start daily consolidation the first time in 6 days. And if we break resistance at 176, then we continue the daily bounce for the 6th day in a row. But again, I do think that we could see weakness into tomorrow, potentially into Friday, and then start daily consolidation, come back down, test a higher low somewhere around the 150 to 140 area. Back test those EMAs, and like I said, we still haven't confirmed a daily uptrend yet, and we have no support all the way down to 131. So don't be surprised if this thing pulls back 10 to 15% from current levels as we look for a daily higher low, and it would just be healthy in my opinion. In terms of the weekly time frame, we're looking really good. We're getting above the 10-week moving average. The stochastic and the MACD are blasting off into space, so high tide has been a great laggard play. With regards to the rest of its peers in the sector, we're starting to see some signs of life. And high tide definitely standing out as a laggard and a great long-term potential play in my opinion. But I'm very, very bullish on this for the long term. I'd like to see us close over that 10-week moving average this week. So a Friday weekly candle close over 145 will be bullish. And like I said, those stochastic and MACD indicators going parabolic at the moment, looking really good. We also got the 50 weekly and the 100 weekly bear cross out of the way, and that occurred back here in June, and the price was at around $2, and then we dropped to about $1 off of that. So we shaved about $1 off of that since that bear cross occurred. But like I said, MACD looking really good in terms of the daily time frame. Like I said, we had that daily the death cross, and we were looking for another potential golden cross across the sector. It's probably going to be a few weeks and months before we see golden crosses. Death cross just means that the 50 days above the 200-day moving average, and when those shorter-term moving averages come down to the longer term, that's called a death cross. And price was at about $6 at that point, so huge major sell signal to unload at that point, because we had that death cross after a massive move to all-time highs into February 2021. And then from there, we've just been unable to recover, right? But we are getting above the 50 and the 100-day moving average. We have nothing nearby until 259. I could see this thing easily in the 2 to mid 2s leading into the end of the year here. But still a long ways to go before we see that golden cross with the 50 below the 200 coming up through that. That's what we refer to as a golden cross. So I do think that there's a good chance that a lot of our names could see golden crosses into the end of the year. It looks like the tides are turning, no pun intended, but just don't lose sight of the fact that we're still in a monthly downtrend, and at the moment, we still have headwinds from the broader market, and we are expecting some more turbulence with regards to, the crypto markets. And we know that crypto and tech have been really leading the broader market, so we're going to be watching for those correlations. But like I said, right now with MJ at 52-week lows and all-time lows, some setting new all-time lows, leading into the biggest event in our history in our lifetime, which will be U.S. legalization. There's no good time. There's never a good a time as any as right now to start accumulating these names for the long term, in my opinion. And I'm a long-term investor. I'm not here to make taco gains, a quick buck. I'm loading up on these names for the long term. I'm picking, I've got about 13 different MJ names in my portfolio. I'm picking the companies that I think are going to be here in 5 to 10 years. I'm diversified, and I never invest any more than I'm willing to lose. Like I said, I'm not biased to Canadian MJ, American MJ. I got picks and shovels, so I've got retailers, I got ETFs, I've got Canadian producers, American producers, you name it. And very, very bullish on this sector long term. This company, I think, is going to be a great long-term pick. So like I said, I've been accumulating this heavily over the last several months, and I will continue to do so, actually. But like I said, monthly bounce is underway. It's looking really good, and now's the time, like I said, to start accumulating when nobody wants to do anything to do with it, because the second we get any kind of reform, especially safe banking and uplisting, these names are likely going to see 200 to 300% moves in a very short period of time. But going down it there, thanks again for joining us on the Pursuit of Wealth. Hopefully you found value in this video today. If you did, you can share it with anybody else that might find value as well. And we shall see you on the next video. Take care. Have a great night.